Hey everyone, this is Falk. I am going to describe in this video some stuff about interactive music. I'm going to describe my thought processes as I produce this track. This little cue is for a project that I'm involved in, Sonic After the Sequel, which is an unofficial Sonic fan game. If you've played the previous fan game Sonic Before the Sequel, you might know that we use some swapping tracks, or in other words interactive music in some of the levels, like for example in Star Shores, if you touched a fuzzy you got an alternate version of a track. So we are continuing that tradition with Sonic After the Sequel, and people have asked me what is my thought process, or rather the process in general that I use to compose something like that. So yeah, I'm hoping that this video sheds some light. This cue that's currently playing is a previously undisclosed track. It is for a specific boss in the game. The basic arrangement and orchestration was written by my college mate Xiao'an, and I basically am doing the production and providing the interactive layers for it. So this interface that you're looking at right now is Wise. It is actually an interactive audio middleware that is used in many of today's games like Arkham City, Assassin's Creed 3. Nice thing about it, it is free for non-commercial use, so I actually use it for a lot of my prototyping for simple projects like this as well. So onto the music itself. What we've done for this particular piece is essentially written 3 different intensity levels. This is so the game engine can choose a intensity based on what the player is doing, or more accurately what phase the boss is in. I'm trying to choose my words really carefully here to avoid spoilers. We're using a technique called crossfading. Essentially what happens is you play all 3 tracks at the same time and you just mute the ones which are not supposed to be active, and essentially to switch you would just switch the tracks which are muted, and since they all started at the same time it maintains the position within the track, like so. Yeah, you can go both ways. It's pretty neat. So there are a couple of little concerns when we were producing this one. Xiao'an prepared a 1 minute 40-second loop. This would probably be more or less the amount of time it would take for someone who is familiar with the boss to go right pleasing through it. And obviously we want all 3 intensities to be able to loop seamlessly. On top of that, we want all 3 intensities to be able to transition to and from each other. So there's an interesting arrangement problem with crossfading scores like this one, because you can only usually add or subtract complete parts. For example, if you have a high strings part, it is very hard to go from that to another high strings part in a different intensity level. Like if it crossfades at the wrong time, it can be very abrupt. So you usually add new parts or take them away going across intensity levels. The obvious exception for this is of course drums. I mean, this track does it. It swaps out drums for bigger drums, and even bigger drums. You can see it being done in Sonic Generations as well, and in my interactive rooftop run rescore assignment from last year. Due to the short length of the loop, comparatively speaking, it's a little hard to also arrange the song to give it like dynamics and a shape. For such a situation, so it's essentially in the player's hands to give the song shape. I was constantly thinking to myself that the arrangement is stale, the beat is the same throughout, but that kind of is the whole point, because you need that pulse, and you need the contrast or the pulse between intensity levels to make it very clear that you're going from one to the other. So you could say that the arrangement is handled by the engine itself, and it definitely would be different from player to player depending on when they force the phase changes. Of course, the flip side to this is that it makes for a rather stale listening experience when you're listening to a single intensity level or running through all three of them outside the context of the game. Yeah. About that, we are actually going to be making a special soundtrack arrangement which basically is going to incorporate bits and pieces from all three of them in a more listenable manner, and maybe even some extras. So yeah, something to look forward to. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for now. If there are any questions, just leave them in the comments. I'll be monitoring it for quite some time. Peace.